Welcome to WiscoDice! Hey yo folks, I am your host, the Conesy with Most, and I am joined today by...
Hi, it's Matt, the Ghost Walker.
And I'm Suzanne.
And this is episode 145 of the WiscoDice Tabletop Gaming Podcast. Today is September 24th, 2025, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about Suzanne's most anticipated game of 2025, and that is Galactic Cruise. But first, before we get into cruising the galaxy, let's roll into what games we have been playing.
All right, I'll kick us off today with Citizens of the Spark, which is a relatively new game that most of us picked up at Gen Con from Thunderworks game. Playtime for this game is about 45 to 60 minutes, plays about 1 to 5 players. In Citizens of the Spark, you're trying to build a city and gather sparks. It's a card game where you play with basically 7 to 10 different animals, citizens, and on your turn, you spend some time enticing new citizens to join your city. Then you have a choice to pick one of your citizens to activate their ability. And those abilities may give you sparks. They may give you the ability to cause harm to your friends and neighbors, or it may just set you up for other things like getting the rabble-rousers out of your city. Ultimately, to win in the end, you need the most sparks. So the person who's the most successful at getting the right people into their city and earning the most sparks is going to win. However, every time you activate a citizen on your turn, all of your other friends' cities, all the other cities around you have the opportunity to activate that same citizen for similar abilities. It is a super quick play, honestly. It's very dynamic. It has, dozens of cards, frankly, and you can mix and match them. They have a ton of recommendations of types of cards you can combine. And I know, Ben, Suzanne, you've both played this as well. What did you think? What did I miss? Anything?
The insert. Suzanne's favorite part of a board game, a great insert.
How could I forget?
Thunderworks did a great job in designing an insert that makes this game quick to set up, quick to play, easy to find things. You don't just have a deck of cards that you're sorting through. It's got all their little spots and the headers for them and everything. So when we've played it, it makes it real quick to play it one way and then adjust and play with different citizens. So
yeah, because each citizen card, because there's like a stack of cards, like 10 or 12 or whatever, how many cards there are for each citizen type.
Yep.
And so each citizen type has its own little slot in the insert.
Yep.
And then a divider that has a little tab that sticks out above the cards so that you can easily find which citizens you're using. This game would be a bear to set up
without
if it didn't have a good organizational system. And I think it's really worth pointing out. And that comes in the retail version. We did back the Kickstarter, but all that you get like extra if you like bought it recently at Gen Con or got it the Kickstarter was you got a little promo pack with it. That's
right.
all. That's like the base game is still the same whether you were a backer or not. I've really liked the gameplay on this one. I was really surprised. I didn't know what to think when I saw it get advertised almost a year ago and then go on to Kickstarter for crowdfunding, because it's such a different theme and artwork style than any of the other Thunderworks games titles, but it's
the same good quality of other Thunderworks games.
Really quality.
The gameplay too.
The gameplay really surprised me, and everything about this game, it's really good. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the art style, I'll be honest. Like, that's kind of a meh for me, but the game is really fun.
Yeah, I mean, there's this bit of planning and deciding when is the optimal time to do things. You're not just always going to take an action because you can, just because someone else did. Sometimes you need to hold off, and then like how aggressive do you want to be? I do like that this game gives you options for the aggressive level, so you can kind of customize it based on the group you're playing with.
Yeah, and the
You know, so-
aggressive level is kind of like certain cards have certain abilities that make them more interactive.
Yeah.
And potentially taking things away from other players or otherwise manipulating the game in some fashion.
Yeah. I haven't played this solo yet. Have either of you played it solo?
Do I play anything
not.
solo?
You play Final Girl solo.
That's true.
I have not.
Matt?
I've not tried it solo. I just really have enjoyed this playing with other people, and it's such a, like you said, it's so well designed. It's so easy to get on the table that it's not a 20-minute setup. It's like a 5-minute setup and ready to go. So I mean,
yeah.
It needs to be fast setup too, because it's like a 60-minute play, really.
Right.
If you're playing with people that all know the game, it's gonna be done with a 4 or 5 player game. And if you were spending 20 minutes to set it up, it would be then it's 20 minutes to tear down too, because you have to sort out all the cards on top of if you putting them away.
And we have we got the neoprene mat for it. I don't know if you did also.
We did.
Matt. Okay. Yeah. And I like that because it tells you this is, it keeps everything kind of organized. But I know Ben's played it a couple of times without the mat. Like, would you say that's a plot? Like, is it a must have for the game, or is it just a nice to have the mat with so it tells you where the piles go? And then
I really like having the mat there when I'm playing this game. I don't think it's necessary to play the game, so it makes sense why there's not like a game board in.
Sure.
When the game is just card rows, like if you take a game like Dominion, right? It's just cards sitting out on the board. It really doesn't need a map or a mat for that.
Right.
However, by like moving instead of to a card, like a card board, game board for organization, and providing a neoprene mat. What's really nice is like if we're playing this, like the first time we played it was at Gen Con, and we're playing in that hotel
lounge
area where you're playing on a hard table where if you like had cards sitting on it, it's hard to pick up the cards.
Yep.
So the neoprene mat gave us organization, but it also gave us a nice neoprene mat to pick up cards off of.
Right.
So you weren't like struggling to get them off the table, which was why I would add it if I was playing. If I had to play, if my normal game table was a flat, hard table surface where it's hard to pick up the cards, I think the mat's a must buy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that is Citizens of the Spark from Thunderworks Games.
Next up, we have a little game from our friends at Sophisticated Cerberus Games. This game is called Sprocket Forge and is their latest title to come out. We've played it several times at different player counts. Ultimately, it takes about 90 minutes at full, like even a full 5-player with even a new player at the table to play. It is you can play solo all the way through to 5 players in this game. And the game, basically, you're the owner-operator of a Magitech factory that, and your goal is to complete orders by using your factory to manufacture mana that these orders require, and then the orders ultimately, when you have the right mana types, you can complete orders and score cards. Now, gameplay in this game is you're going to have, there's 3 main actions, if I remember right, across the your one of your player mats that tell you what. Then the player mats are really, really good at giving a full breakdown of what a game round looks like. Mm-hmm. So you're going to take a main action of those 3. And then everybody else at the table is going to do a secondary action while it's your turn based on the main action you just took. You have some extra things and some cleanup at the end of your round, and then it goes to the next player. And it just keeps going around and around the table until somebody trips the score at 30 points. At that point, you complete the full round, and then you take one more final round around the table, except in the final round, each player just does their main action, and then any secondary actions, nobody gets to follow the secondary action. Just the main player gets to do their main action, and then any follow-up actions, completing a order or anything like that. Now, one thing I should note that's worth mentioning is at the end of your turn, this game has a really cool player board where it has these 5 sprockets or gears that interlock. Mm-hmm. That you can get upgrades for, etc. And at the end of your turn, you rotate one, which causes all 5 to rotate, basically.
Yep.
And that means like the next turn, if you because one of the actions is like activating and getting getting the things that are on the bottom of each sprocket. So you timing that up with some of the other actions to be able to maximize your factory production, particularly in the smaller player count games. I think that action of activating your factory is maybe a little less important, or at least changes how you might want to do that if you're playing in a larger player game, just because I think there's ways that you can generate mana easier in a 5-player game.
Yeah.
But that's really at the nutshell. That is Sprocket Forge. But Suzanne, what did you think of this game? I know we've all played it, but why don't you start?
I love this game. I like the theme. I like the kind of steampunky, sprockety, we're making stuff kind of game, like with the theme of it. There's kind of cool flavor text on the back of all the boards. So you just got to read them before you put the board together to kind of get a little backstory with your characters. There is an asymmetric side of the way that you can play with the player cards, which we have not done yet because we've been playing most of our games have always been with at least one new player in it. And the asymmetry, I think there's enough new with the game that's different from other games that even with a seasoned gamer, you should start out with the basic game. But I do really enjoy it. Different player counts, I feel it plays pretty differently. Like your strategy has to change. And a 2-player game versus, a 4 or 5-player game, you need to change that strategy because you're getting different types of mana at slightly different frequencies. It's a little bit easier to get it or at least for me, at a higher player count if you have the right gears. We're at a lower player count. You need to figure out how can't worry so much about what your neighbors have on their boards. You have to kind of figure out how you're going to do stuff for yourself and not count on them choosing certain actions or having certain amounts going into their waste area.
Right.
But Matt, I think you've only played it at a higher player count, right? Like at 4 or 5?
I think we played it at 4 that day, and I don't think there were 5. But it was a quick game. I mean, I understand it's 90 minutes, but I mean, compared to some of the brain burners we play that might tip into the 3 to 4 hour range, I mean, there's a lot of depth to it. I really enjoyed it. It's tactile and it's puzzly with trying to figure out how your gears are going to move and where it'll be sitting when your turn next comes around, because you're trying to, as you said, Suzanne, like pick the right actions when it's like the secondary actions when it's not your turn, so that when it is your turn, you get the opportunity to build the big stuff and earn points. And I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to just like puzzle through, and it was very rewarding, and it felt like there's some decent like comboing and planning involved that made it feel rewarding when it hit your turn and you're like, okay, I get to do this thing, and I lined it all up and it worked the way I thought it should. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we saw this being previewed pre-Kickstarter.
A couple of Gen Cons.
Like a couple of Gen Cons
and
ago.
We've talked to the designers too a few
times. Where it was like
it.
3D printed sprockets, and you'd see their kind of early version of the game board or the player board with things. And I was very like, I don't know what to think of that. I'm not sure if this is going to be a game I like. Then once I got it in my hands and I got the final copy and we've played it a number of times now, I want to play it. It's one of those ones I definitely want to play it again. It's intriguing. I love the tactile. Like I can't say enough about the fact that you get these gears you get to play with and stuff and do things, and they do things, and you actually are interacting with it. Unlike like another game that has a very tactile component in Metro Runner that has the puzzle you're trying to solve. You have action you can solve in the puzzle, and that's very tactile. Like that's a hacking action. Like that's my favorite action to do. It's the most enjoyable piece of Metro Runner for me. but it's a thing like
It's what
it's a
causes
trap.
you to lose.
It's a trap in that game to hack too much because it doesn't output enough for you to be able to do the other things that you need to do to score points.
Yeah.
Where it's all about managing your factory and making sure that it works right, which I really like.
And I'll say with the components, these tactile components and everything that are, I guess all components are kind of tactile in some way, but with these gears that you're touching, we upgraded part of our pledge, but we did not go full bling out on it, which would have heavy metal gears on it. We opted to keep the plastic gears that came with it.
Metal gears that were in different colors for the player colors.
Yes. So, and we saw them and they're really cool. They're also really heavy.
And/or could be used as ninja stars.
Yes. So clearly, I live with a little boy that we're listening to right now who thinks of them as ninja stars. So that is not going to work in our game room. But also the mana, we have the kind of 3D printed, the plastic mana that has like a wash on it versus the wooden ones.
Yeah, they're like whatever plastic with a wash. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I really like it because I like how they stand up on there. But I will say this is a game that would be just as enjoyable without the upgraded components. Because the wooden components for the different pieces of mana are unique enough. They're not just little cubes.
Oh, yeah.
Which at one point, early on in the prototype, I think they were just like colored cubes or whatever.
Sure.
And this is a game that I would say, if you just get like a retail version of it, the base game, without the upgrades, you're going to enjoy it just as well as if you had the blinged out version. It does. Mm-hmm. But bling's always fun.
Anyways, that is Sprocket Forge from Sophisticated Cerberus Games.
So I want all of you right now to go check out WiscoDice.com for links to these games that we've discussed. And while you're at it, make sure you go and leave a review of this podcast wherever you are downloading podcasts from.
Do it now.
Just do it now. And if there's a like button, you should definitely smash that like button.
Yep. And don't forget to subscribe.
For those of you that, since you're listening, this is a podcast you don't get to see, but every time we get a new subscriber, I do a little dance here at home. I do my little chair dance of joy.
Right.
And my husband groans. But anyway, should we move on to what we're really here for, the big star of today's show?
Yeah, let's cruise off to some galaxies far, far away. Or wait, maybe not that far.
No, these are much shorter cruises, but these are, cruises none the same. So I want to welcome all of you aboard, you fellow executives, as a candidate for the next Chief Executive Officer of the Galactic Cruise, which, by the way, is Kinson Key Games' flagship title. Your mission over the coming 3 years is clear. Outperform your rivals to prove you are the best steward for our interstellar cruise empire. So how does the CEO competition work, you ask? So over 3 in-game years, does not really take 3 years to play, don't worry. So it's the span of multiple years in one game. You will climb through tiers of responsibility to reach different milestones and meet performance metrics. And we're going to compare how innovative you are and what your profit margins and guest satisfactions and only the brand prestige you develop. So only the top one of you will be selected to run this company after I retire. Thus, your goal is not merely to win and be the best 1 year, but you must demonstrate leadership, consistency, and strategic vision over these 3 years. So what you're going to do in this game, or in this competition to be the CEO, is you're going to design and build starships. Yes, we have a whole fleet of them already because we are a very successful company, but you are going to choose new hulls, new engines, and different modules in there to meet the different cruise demands. You are going to advance technology by investing in different type of tracks that we have and unlocking new capabilities and efficiencies. You're going to prove to me that you can allocate our precious resources wisely. So we have energy, we have fuel, we have food, we have oxygen, which is very important if you've ever been in space. You need some oxygen. You have funding, ads, everything that you need, you can get, but you have to decide how to keep it and keep the company functioning. You also need to plan these cruise routes. Do we want adventurous cruises? Are you going to specialize in relaxing cruises? Are you going to or do you want families to come and join you on these trips? So you're going to plan those cruise routes and market them, get those so you're going to get your travel agents to sell these. And then you're going to manage the customer satisfaction. Make sure those travel agents are selling those adventurous cruises to adventurous people. Don't sell a relaxing cruise to an adventurous person. They're going to be bored out of their mind. And then you're just going to basically compete with the other executives to make yours the best and outperform everyone. All of you senior managers vying for the CEO spot, I pledge to lead you with as much innovation, decisive investments, and bold cruise strategies as I can. But you are the ones to make the final decisions and set a course in the stars that will lead you to be the CEO of this company. With that, let's hear how Manager Matt thinks about the core mechanics and the general game flow.
All right, thank you. At the core, this is a worker placement game. So on your turn, you will only have the option of doing really 3 things. You're either going to place a worker and take a couple actions. You're going to launch one of those ships once you've done all the things necessary to prep a ship, build, put people on it, get it sold and ready to go. Or if, let's just say, all your people are gone and you don't have anybody to talk to, you might need to call a meeting and bring all those people back in and get them realigned to the mission that you're trying to accomplish. As Suzanne said, the game does take place over 3 years. Players take it in turn to basically place the workers on the board. And the center of the board kind of is supposed to represent this campus for the company where when you place a worker in a building, you basically are taking those actions that are present in that building. Now, if you build developments that are next to those buildings, you get the opportunity to, say, take the sky bridge over to the next building and potentially do actions over there too. Some of those actions are very straightforward. They offer, for the most part, things like you might be able to gather some resources, build some of those developments, refill resources for the company, which can also earn you benefits with the company. Gather agendas, which are sometimes have cards that you can use to either provide you with resources or sometimes get you some really big benefits in certain situations. Chances to get additional workers, schedule trips, sign people up for those trips, do all the things that are necessary, grab blueprints so that you can build great things for your ships, or you have to build those on your ships. Spaces, they do set it up because even though it's worker placement, you can't be blocked. But, if you're the person who happened to be there and you got bumped out, you get to get a little benefit because somebody needed your spot. So they kind of have to bribe you to step out of the way, so to speak. Every time your workers go back into your pool of places, you get to get prizes, as Ben likes to say. Earn prizes from having your workers return. Every round, you want to be making progress on gaining cubes and placed in and earning the progress of the game, because the game progresses through the 3 years, through placing cubes, and those cubes can be earned a lot of different ways. You can earn them by meeting company goals. And when you meet a company goal, if you're the first person to do it, it's a little bit easier. Every person that comes after you gets a little bit harder. You can also get cubes for launching ships. And a year ends. Every year ends when a certain number of cubes is placed within that year. End of year bonuses occur when the year ends so that you can get additional victory points from being the most to have met those company goals or earned cubes in that year. Ultimately, you are building up resources, launching those trips, and there's a whole flow around how you launch ships. And then those ships, when they're out in the space, they also earn you resources, victory points, and all sorts of advantages too, because if you, as Suzanne said, have a relaxing cruise and have your cruise full of relaxed people that are looking for relaxing, where you can convince them to attend the relaxing stops that you've had and earn all sorts of benefits from that as well. The cards that you can collect agendas give one-time abilities, or they can be used as resources to help you launch ships or pay for developments and other things. At the very end, if you don't have any workers and you can't launch a ship, you can always call a meeting. And when you pull them back, for each worker you pull back, you get to take
some funding, right?
a certain resource or money or other things. But you don't lose out completely if you call a meeting. You get to take one action next to an area where you've built a development as well. So you still get to take action, at least one action, when you call a meeting.
Yep.
Now, there are so many actions and things you can do. How do you build those together into some sort of cohesive strategy so that you make sure you're launching the very, very best Galactic Cruises?
Well, balance. Balance is key in this game. You have to balance what are you spending your money on. You can't spend it all on developing new technologies. You're going to have no ships. You may be the best at knowing how to get them launched, but you won't have like the best cruise and no proof for that. This game supports 1 to 4 players. I've not played it at a solo game yet. And it takes about 2 hours to play. So it makes it a tight and strategic experience that you have to have. And you have to be keeping that balance in mind with what you're going to do when you're thinking of your strategy for it. So it is an economic engine builder is how I look at it. When there's like a lot of good Euro style games, there's multiple paths to victory. Keeping that balance in mind. You have to weigh, do you want to focus on short-term goals? Running lots of short, profitable cruises right now, making a quick buck, or are you going to look at long-term investments where you're going to build up all those technologies and then work towards a couple larger cruises and stuff and having like the biggest and most spectacular ships that way? Like I said, you have to balance shipbuilding versus technology. And then there's also resource management. Everything is tight, just like in any business. It's tight. Like, are you going, how much oxygen do you have? How much fuel do you have? How much money do you have? And then are you going to spend that money on ads? Are you going to spend that money on developments or on building things? If you overspend in any one area, it's going to be tight later on. And if you hoard too much, you risk falling behind in certain areas too. So market timing is another big thing. Cruises need the right ships at the right time with the right features to attract these customers. So you kind of do need to pay a little bit of attention to what the other players are doing. And there are small ways that you can kind of fill their cruises, get the wrong, customers on their relaxing cruise, get all the families with the screaming kids on them or something like that. So you got to time out when you're going to take your action so other players don't kind of sabotage you. And then, with those customers and those types of cruises that you're doing, do you want to diversify or do you want to specialize? You got to decide, am I going to focus on adventure? Going up in space is its own adventure. Do I want to focus on adventurous customers and setting up my cruises to be adventurous? Or do I want to have cruises that are full of like having whiskey tasting and board game conventions on board and stuff and all those type of things? So accessibility in Galactic Cruise is a big thing. I feel like even though this is a rich strategy experience in there, it has a lot of accessible elements for first-time players of the game or even some different levels of gamers. This is not maybe a game that you jump from Candyland right into Galactic Cruise. But and Conesy's over here giving me a questioning look like I've never played Candyland. I don't know what game that is.
I actually have played Candyland, and this is a much bigger game than Candyland.
Yes.
Both in physical presence as well as complexity.
Right. Yes, that's why you don't want to jump from one to the other. But it definitely has some clear thematic anchors, I would say, with you are competing to be the best in this business model, and you have all these different areas that you need to succeed in. So to me, I feel like I feel like it. Like I'm kind of this crazy CEO trying to manage all these different areas. The length of time is also very manageable. So even if it's someone's first time, they're feeling a little overwhelmed with what they feel initially are lots of options for what to do. It's 2 hours. It's the length of a movie, a feature movie now, right? Like they can sit through it, they can play it, go, oh, that wasn't so bad. I'm going to play it again. The rounds, they have the structure to them, as Matt was mentioning. You place your worker, you take a couple actions. It's very straightforward that way. It's just deciding on what you want to do. And the solo mode, my understanding is that it actually plays pretty well. And I shouldn't say I've never played the solo mode. I've only played the solo mode online on BGA. And it felt like I was playing a 2-player game because the computer was doing all the AI stuff. So I feel like it's a pretty accessible game for most gamers. There is some player interaction. It is definitely not a solitary multiplayer experience that I would say Wingspan is for me, or games like that, which is a good game. It's just this one there is player interaction because you are competing with other players for the shared market, for the pool of customers, the pool of cruise patterns, the resources, the agenda cards, all of that. Like you're competing for that. There is the race with developments for who's going to have what technologies. Are they going to be the first to get it? Do you need to pay them to use some of their developments? All that type of thing. So really what you're trying to do is outmaneuver your opponents a bit on there. So it's competitive, but it's not cutthroat. No one is going to do anything that's going to completely ruin your plans unless maybe they end the game 2 turns before you need to end it. But what I would say is that Galactic Cruise offers quite a bit of strategy without an insane amount of complexity and makes itself approachable through its theme and its clear structure and a bit of player interaction, which I really like. I've read that it's a blend of Euro-style efficiency with a fresh thematic twist. That's someone's fun marketing spin that they put on it. As I mentioned before, at the beginning we started talking about this, Galactic Cruise is the first title from Kinson Key Games, and it was designed by TK King. They currently have an expansion on Kickstarter, which is going to add some new strategy. It's got some little fun add-ons too that they're developing. So let's see what else people have to say, such as you, Conzi. Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think we talk about the gameplay piece, and I'll talk about the theme and the artwork and the immersion aspects in a second. But one thing I wanted to just kind of mention about the gameplay to make sure everybody's picturing the way this game works correctly is that there are no rounds. Like, it's not like, okay, you place 2 workers and then that's the end of the round. You get your workers back from the board. It is when it's your turn, you're going to take your turn, and you have the 3 actions that Matt talked about.
2.
The 3 different actions.
Oh, the 3 different actions to choose from. Yes. Sorry.
And then it comes back to you, you take another turn, and it just keeps going around and around and around and around and around like that. You don't ever stop. It's not like, oh, hey, this game is going to last for 7 rounds. The game lasts for 3 years, but the years aren't rounds. The years don't reset the board or give you your workers back or anything like that. It's just a constant, you just keep going and going and going until the game end is triggered. And then there's a game end sequence, which is it's different than a number of other, like a Lords of Waterdeep, where you have game rounds, or Distilled, or other games that are similar to like that. So I just wanted to make sure that I clarified that piece. I think that's important. But when we get into the game components and aesthetics, I do want to note that our copy is the future CEO level from the original Kickstarter, with all of the upgraded components, the tokens, the metal coins, as well as the neoprene mat that replaces the main game board. We do have a higher level copy of the game that we are playing versus just the standard retail copy. That said, all of the card components, all of the things that you get that are are not upgraded that come in the copy that we have are amazing. They're top level, above and beyond what you would usually expect for a company's first board game that they would have produced. There is a little bit of warping that occurs with the dual layer boards that are included with the game. In fact, that warping was very significant after
right when we first opened
it, yeah. And a lot of people, when they were receiving this from crowdfunding, were complaining of the same thing. We noted that once we left the game out for about a week, we just left it sitting on the table because it ended up getting played like 3 times in the first week. The boards started to flatten out, and now they're perfectly flat.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely fine. The only one that's a little warped is the main game board, but we haven't played on that. We've always played the neoprene
which is not a dual layer board.
No, it's not.
From a component perspective, quality perspective, it really is a top-notch game, especially since this game does come in at a kind of premium price point if you were going to go pick this up post crowdfunding, or even if you pick it up as part of any of their crowdfunding activities. The artwork, it feels, it's really spot on, and this game approaches its theme as a very corporate game, and the artwork reminds me of a very corporate game, like very clean, concise artwork that's very representative of things, but also still very thematic, right? The ships feel like you have cardboard stock tokens that are clearly ships. You have, but there's a lot of artwork in this game that kind of, it almost like sometimes it's like 60s or like idea of 60s like corporate like a cartoon or something like that. And I get that feeling out of that game.
Yeah, I get that vibe. Yeah.
But then even you take it to things like when you go into the theming as well, when you take things into account, like the rule book and the player aids, the rule book being the training manual.
This game was so much fun to open.
and the player aids, which are these, like, I don't know what, 4-page player aids or something like that, 8-page player aids that are the employee handbooks. Everything was thought about. How do we get the most bang to make you feel like you're running a company that's running space cruises? If there's anything in the game that is maybe a little optimistic about the theme, it's that you don't have any space disasters, at least not yet.
We are not. Yes, it's all our people come back. We're a very safe company.
Cruises on the ocean have accidents still, even today. Bad things. People get sick on a cruise, or maybe, it's been a long time since a cruise is sunk, but that occasionally happens. It's only got to be more complicated if they go to space.
To second what you were saying though about like the manuals and the like employee handbook. The employee handbook, it's long, but it was super useful when I played. I could reference. I don't think there was one thing we needed to look up in the main book, but otherwise the employee handbook was concise, even at 8 pages, but it was clear, and I could look at it and go, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing if I'm taking this action, so it was really clear. It made it really easy for me to just like look up something on my turn while you guys were all taking your turns and keep going. So
now that Suzanne's run this at a couple of conventions, she's like a living rule book for this game. We don't really need the rule book anymore.
There are still some things I look up here and there, but yeah, it's pretty, once you've played it a couple times, it's pretty straightforward. And that the employee handbook is like a 5x8 kind of size. So it's not like full 8.5 by 11 pages or whatever, but it's like Matt mentioned, it's super helpful. It lays things out on what everything is going on and what people, like what you need to do. You can plan your turn a little bit in advance, so it's not getting to you when you're sitting there going, oh, I don't know what to do. Yes.
With that, we've talked about the theme, we've talked about the gameplay, we've talked about opponents and the strategy of this game. we've all played it. Well, I think Matt, you've only gotten a chance to play it once, but we've played it a ridiculous number of times already. Yeah. What were some of your favorite moments when you played this game?
I think for me, and like you said, I only have the one play, but I had this realization that the game was coming to an end in a very rapid period, and then I sat there for a few minutes just trying to figure out how to do something on the final turn that would earn me more points, and it was really, really satisfying to figure out, like, oh, if I combo this, this, and this, and while in my head I didn't quite understand how the scoring of that particular thing was going to work. I thought it was going to be more. It was still really, really satisfying to go, hey, I did that thing and it earned me a bunch of points on the final turn. I mean, it didn't win me the game, but it was still felt really good to be able to go, oh, okay, I got this kind of combo thing going and I can, do this thing. And the game kind of like leads to that, where you kind of set things up and then you can kind of rake in points a whole bunch at one time.
Yeah, it's really satisfying when you play this game to not know who is going to win while you're playing it, even though you're keeping track of score. And at times it'll look like somebody is way ahead on the score track, because there are so many of points from so many different sources near or at the end of the game that it goes, you might be, okay, I'm at like 120 points, and by the end of the game, you're at 175 or 180 points.
Yeah, I was going to, before you two started talking, I was going to say that was one of my favorite things is seeing someone who thinks that they're so far behind shoot ahead or just really catch up to everyone else in the end game scoring. And that they go, oh my gosh, look how well I'm doing, because they were playing a different strategy than everyone else. And just seeing that and having it be that, like, you can play your strategy. And I like to tell people when I've been running the games at conventions, don't worry about the score track until the final scoring. Just keep doing your thing. And it's going to make a difference. But one of the other things I enjoy myself when I'm playing the game is seeing how well I can match the corporate objectives with my own goals to get to win the game and to get a score, and how I can kind of mesh everything together to keep it working. Like, hey, I need to have a lot of development tiles, but also have a certain number of cruises launched, and how am I going to make that all work? Because developments are expensive, and launching cruises is also expensive. So it's part of that balance in there. So that's something that I really enjoy. Anything that you don't like, or you haven't talked about what you like yet?
I don't have anything. I'm not going to talk about anything that I dislike about this game, at least not yet.
Because he loves the game.
I do love this game.
He goes to sleep with the game. It's kicked me out of bed.
No, it has not done that. No, one of the things I really like about this game is, we talk about the actions. You have to. It's very satisfying when you're taking a worker and you're placing a worker on the board and you're taking the two actions. It's very satisfying when you take the action and you launch a ship. Because both of those things are the things that you do a lot of things when it's your turn to. Yeah. So it feels like those turns are special. Where this game could have fallen flat on its face and it said, wait a minute, I'm not going to let that happen, is when you return workers from the game board back to your mat, your player board, when you call a meeting, when you take that action. The fact that you're bringing those workers back, you trigger an income for each worker, so you get something shiny for doing that. And then when you're done bringing those workers to your mat, you still get to take an action off the game board based on some tokens that you've placed on the main game board, means that you still have a really cool turn, and it doesn't feel like, oh, hey, I just wasted my time calling my workers back. This turn was a dud. Every turn in this game feels meaningful. And there are a number of games that we have played that have like a that have like this continual, like no rounds, continual play kind of aspect where there's a recall mechanism to get your workers back. And when you get that recall to get your workers back, that's a dud turn. So you never want to do it. But in this game, it might even be advantageous. You don't have to wait till you have all your workers on the board. It might be advantageous for you to call a meeting just so you can get 2 of your 3 workers back to your board to get those 2 incomes and take an action you really need. Like there is definitely a mechanism there. So all of those things are firing off the gate. I really like that. I think that's well done, and it was really clever.
Yeah.
So we get into final thoughts here at WiscoDice. We do rank our board games on a 1 to 10 scale, where a 1 might be like if this was a cruise with thin walls and nasty stains on the mattresses and carpets.
Yeah.
However, However, a 10 would be an amazing, all-inclusive board game cruise with your favorite content creators, us.
Yep.
So with that, I'll go ahead and kick off the rankings. I'm going to give this game a 9, which is, I think, one of the highest ratings I have given a board game that we have reviewed. This game is quite phenomenal on all fronts. And I'm not taking into account any of the expansions that came with it. We have like 2 little mini expansions. I'm not going into those. Just the base game is phenomenal. I think it's not quite a perfect game, but it scratches a lot of itches, and I'm wondering why we're not playing it right now.
Because we're telling people how amazing it is right now.
Yeah, well...
I mean, I guess if the listeners want to see us play it, we could live stream it, but I don't know if that's
I don't think our tech's quite there yet, so...
No, probably not.
If you'd like to see us live play Galactic Cruise, send us an email at hosts@WiscoDice.com and letting us know how much money you're going to give us to buy cameras and gear that we can do it.
Matt, what do you think about the game? What are you rating it?
So I gave it a 7. I did enjoy it a lot. I agree with Ben on a lot of his thought processes that there really aren't dead turns. And honestly, I do believe this is a scenario where if I had played this game multiple times and I'd had the opportunity, I do believe this would rate higher. It's a very enjoyable game. I just didn't find the right rhythm the first few times. And it might also hurt it a little bit because I do work in corporate America, so it hit a little close to home some days. But other than that, I mean, it is a very good game. And I do think if I had the chance to play it a couple more times, it probably would have rated higher. But what about you, Susan?
I think what Matt is saying is that his first Lacerda game should be Kanban.
Okay.
Where you
oh my God,
run a factory, an automotive factory.
There you go.
And you have and the AI manager that's in the game and is checking on your work. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah, but I know what a Kanban board is. It just isn't that probably in the board game.
I don't know.
I
think
it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
anyway,
so for those of you new to the show, my top favorite game has been Terraforming Mars for years. Which there's a lot of things I like about that game. We won't go into all of it, but one thing you should know is that's a space-themed game. This is also a space-themed game, which is one of many things that drew me to this game. I will say this game, I'm giving it a 9.5, and it is in contention to knock Terraforming Mars off of the top spot for me right now with games. There are some little things with some rules and iconography that aren't quite perfect enough for it to be a 10. And I attribute that to being this is the first game this company has produced. I'm excited to see what else they have out there. I love the replayability with this, the theme, the overall aesthetic with it. I love that there's not really these rounds, that you just keep going and you're just choosing those actions. You just keep going until every year ends and have that little performance evaluation at the end of every year, and the end scoring always feels a bit of a surprise. This game has felt fresh and new to me every time I've played it. With that, I give it a 9.5.
And with
In
that,
case you didn't hear, I give it a 9.5.
yeah, I think we got it. All right. And with that, Suzanne gives this game what was the score?
A 9.5.
Everybody, I don't know that they heard you. All right. Well,
Go ahead and talk about your final thoughts or
with
whatever
that-
else you want to talk about.
That kind of wraps up our review of Galactic Cruise. Also, we had on this show a little game from our friends at Sophisticated Cerberus Games called Sprocket Forge that we've been playing lately, as well as Citizens of the Spark, for the latest title. Actually, it's not the latest title because now they have another little
One
small
of the more
card
recent
game.
ones.
Yep, came out in between then, but otherwise, it is the near latest title from Thunderworks Games called Citizens of the Spark. All right, until next time, folks. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you leave a review of this show wherever your favorite place is to find podcasts. Oh, and by the way, give us a like on our Facebook page. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, or Pinterest while you're at it. If you haven't looked recently, make sure you catch up on the blog at WiscoDice.com. Hey, Brian, what's that site?
Ah, darn. I forget. Justin, what's our website again?
WiscoDice.com.
That's right, it's WiscoDice.com. And until next time, everyone, peace out.